Hey everyone, it's my distinct pleasure to try to talk to you about how Friedrich Nietzsche developed the idea of the master and slave morality in his piece of writing that we read for last week. So, just to be clear, I wanted to make sure that using the private journal entries, you all were giving it your best shot on your own without having a sense of what I thought about it or what each other thought about it, because it's really hard material. And, I do think that there is a lot to be gained by flailing away and trying your best to make meaning of it. And I gave you each feedback on the comments section of the journal as far as what parts of it I think you may have had correct. So I guess the good and bad news is that nobody really got the whole thing right. And so I'm making this video right now to try to help you wrap your mind around how to use this concept of master and slave morality and apply it to further work that we're going to read this semester, as well as some of the pieces we've already covered. So, in a nutshell, I would start with the idea that master and slave morality, if you think about the term morality, it refers to what we would call point of view. So you shouldn't think that masters are rich and slaves are poor, or masters own land and slaves are owned. That's not really the right door to open to get a full sense of what he's meaning. What he means more is someone who has a master point of view or master morality point of view will see the world a certain way, and someone who has a slave morality point of view would see the world in a different way. Now, yes, there is a correlation between those who are wealthy and privileged seeing the world aligned to the way masters probably would, and those who are grow up in poverty and have suffered hardship might very well be more aligned to the slave morality, but it's not necessarily the case. And so to establish that right in the beginning, I think is important. The second thing I would talk about is how you connect the idea of good and evil to these two moralities. It depends in great part with which morality you're talking about. So, starting with the master morality. The master morality begins seeing him or herself as good. So good is me. I am a master. I am good. What I want is good. So what do I want? I want to increase my power. I want to exert my will. I want to make laws and be hard on everything. I want, the adage, rape, burn, and pillage. I want to dominate. I want to take over the world. I want my word to be law, and I want to be free to do that. And anyone who is like me is also good, and anyone who is not like me is weak. Maybe not evil, but weak. And then you go to the slave point of view, or the slave morality, and you start with the opposite. You start with the outside world. The outside world is evil. The outside world is full of pain and suffering and hardship. The outside world is where I get my butt kicked. It's where I have it hard. I'm not able to exert my will. I'm not able to live freely. I'm not able to follow my dreams. And so then what is good to the slave morality? Good is what lessens the suffering of the world. So things like charity, altruism, kindness, generosity, service, those are all seen as good because they lessen the suffering of the world. So typically speaking, from the slave morality, you feel resentment towards the master morality, in the sense that you see in others the ability to express things that you cannot express freely. And so it tends to go underground. Whereas in the master morality, you would see in the slave weakness. It's an easy thing to say that for Nietzsche, the slave morality is bad and the master morality is good. And I think that he's writing it in such a way that's hard not to come to that conclusion, but that's not actually in what he's saying. And then the last piece I would say is that the master morality could be what we would consider to be very primitive people. People who basically only care about exerting their will, only care about dominating others, about war, about destruction, about violence. They're not high-cultured, refined folks necessarily. They are more about exerting their will and domination. All right, I hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing what kind of debate this sparks.